there.
Greetings, Siquoyia.
Greetings. How's it going?
It's going well. Can't complain. How about yourself? How are you doing?
Doing well. It's
Swing
Saturday.
out.
I'm not at work, so I'm happy.
But that makes two of us.
Yes.
And thank you for joining me today, sharing some of your time to have this conversation.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm grateful.
Oh man, this is gonna be fun.
Yes.
Okay, so first and foremost, multi-talented artist as yourself. I read a little bit of your bio. You said you create a genre called you refer to it as abstract soul, combining elements of R&B, funk, soul, and a little bit of rock in there, you know?
Yes, gotta add it. Yes, abstract soul. I decided to create my own genre because a lot of times as artists we're kind of boxed in. And I just think that a true artist, can't be boxed in. It's like whatever you feel from the soul you want to do one day, it should be permissible. It shouldn't be just, okay, this way because you're supposed to just stay R&B, and then, I just think that's boring. So that's why I said, let me create my own genre.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, they have this thing where it's almost like poetic license. So why not, artistic license, where you just create hybrids or whatnot, if you will, as you will. I think it's important to just have that freedom as you're speaking about.
Yeah, especially now during a time where everything's online, you can just record where you want. You don't have to beg the label to help you or anything like that. I get that some people want it for funding and stuff, because these projects cost, but it's still independent is just the way to be if you want that freedom. And,
You said the word independent.
Yes.
Oh, man. Let me just ask you quickly, what does being independent mean for you?
Being independent means that I call the shots. I own my own publishing, my own rights. Now, if you want to work with someone and you come to an agreement with like a producer, or maybe you want to buy a beat, you want to create an agreement, that's fine. But you're still in charge of what beat you want, who you want to work with. Whereas if you're with a label or someone that is investing in what you're doing and they're in control, they might say, oh, no, you can't work with that producer. You got to work with this producer because this is the producer that such and such use. And you're like, but I want to work with this producer because he's just different. So I think that's independent, just calling your own shots, being free. You don't have to go on tour when you don't want to go on tour. Maybe you don't like tours. Maybe you just want to do music for movies. Maybe you just want to record in your room. So it's just those things. That's what I mean by that freedom, the independence.
Yeah, I mean, I admit it's a beautiful thing to be independent, in my opinion. So I'm pretty much like-minded with you when it comes to being independent and just having control over your own destiny in a sense, especially as a creative. The definition of that word, in a sense where like you can kind of take your creativity or your mind pretty much wherever you want to go, and your skill set without people having to almost direct or like giving you the say so to say, oh, okay, we give you the go ahead to go and make this happen for yourself, or to make this collab happen for you and somebody else. But it's just the whole permissive aspect of it. I think it's relatively, it could go amiss and nobody would kind of miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's important.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it's important for artists to understand, to not feel insecure about going their own way and being confident in their art, because sometimes people want to be with labels or have someone work with them because they're not confident yet. They don't know if they're good enough yet. But it's like confidence is what I think gets artists out there, and I had to learn that, to be able to be where I'm at now, to be comfortable,
Indeed. But that also that also highlights another part of the whole onion, in a sense, for lack of a better word, that's probably less elusive to you, the business aspect. as an artist to actually knowledge of the business. I think maybe that's what cripples a lot more artists than we think. What do you think about that part and the
I
combination?
totally agree. I didn't start understanding the business until I was 26, 27 years old. And I was like, oh, this is a business. I saw artists that, whatever, because music is subjective to me. But for some people, it might be an artist where it's like, oh, how does person get signed over this artist? Well, this artist had the business down. She had the Google ads going. She had the money to do it. She had the Facebook ads going. She had the right pictures. She had the business down. She had her music licensing stuff going on. She had her music songs copyrighted. She had the business part down, which kind of put her over the better singer. If that, that's subjective, but to somebody, the better singer, it's like, oh well, how did she get there? Well, she had her business down, and she had more confidence than you, than the more better singer. And you're like, gosh, okay. So I started to study the game at that time. I started to learn more. Around that time, the internet started getting more coming out there a little bit more, and you started watching videos on YouTube and learning more and more. And you're like, okay, so that's when I started to put my head down, started focusing on the business part. But that's important. Artists have to focus on that business part. It's like, study how to do Google ads, study Facebook ads, and that's going to be how people know who you are. Because how is anybody going to know who you are, especially if you're not with a label? So that's important. Get your LLC, just certain things, in place, because then you can write off everything. So if you did go and get a credit card or whatever and you had to buy all this equipment, well, you can write it off with your LLC, which helps, you get money back and continue what you're doing. So I think, yeah, more artists. And I think now, because of social media, more artists are learning about the business. They're like, yo, you see so many stories, people, talking on YouTube about the business side, about getting your LLC, about learning about the music licensing, because there's money in music licensing as well. And also it's just getting out there, because music licensing, if somebody listens to a song, a movie, and you click Shazam, you can, check the artist out. I do it all the time. Like, who's this artist in this movie, and that's another way to promotion. So yes, the business part, man, artists can get that down. You're good. It don't matter who's better than you. Doesn't matter. Just do your business, and you get somewhere. You get that audience you want.
You see, you're just what you just said there. It kind of just alludes to the fact of why business is almost like 90% of the whole organ that is an artist. And being on that large scale to be like, okay, man, I'm gonna take this as far as it's gonna go, and there's gonna be longevity to it. And people are gonna know about me, and people are gonna, it's gonna come with accolades, etc., etc., and I'm gonna have control and grasp over my what's mine, what I own. There's revenue comes with it, and it's coming with me too. It's in this bag with me. You're not gonna fumble the bag in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big thing. And man, I've been witness to so many artists, so many great artists, and even in my whole field of like poetry, and just seeing performers out there. And I think there's a lot of artists out there that they're great artists, but they don't necessarily have the business acumen to kind of just make sure they have that longevity secured, so their future is fine. And because it's almost like you see the love, you see the talent, but sometimes when you ask them certain questions, like, oh man, it's just like, yeah, I ain't got that,
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm gonna do next. It's like, but you should know this. Do you get what I mean? It's like that stands out for me.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I think it's so many different layers to it, because you got some artists that just don't have the funding too. So you got them, someone that's, and not saying they can't get it, but sometimes there are certain situations and they just can't get that funding. They can't get the Facebook ads done. They can't get the Google ads done. Or they don't know how to find beats. They don't know how to write their own music. Or if they're a poet, they may not know how to find a venue to book at, so they can get their own bookings. They may not know how to Google. I mean, there's so many different things that I've learned that can hold an artist back. And I just think that at the end of the day, it's going to be the person that wants it as bad as they want to breathe. And that's where it goes back to, because there's no excuse as to not how to learn how to Google. There's no excuse, because eventually you can get there. Will it take you longer because you have less income? Yes, but that person can still get there if they do the work and they want it as bad as they want to breathe, as my man E.T. Hip Hop, the hip hop preacher would say, because it's true, and it could be a slow burn. It could take a while, but how much do you believe in it? There's artists now that are 50 years old, and they just, they got their equipment later on in life, and now they're living the life. They got their music going, they got all this equipment, they got the high paying job because they just kept going at it, but it did take them longer, but doesn't mean that they failed. And I think that's another thing. But the artists that you might be like, yo, you got, telling them, ask them questions, and they be like, I don't care about that, then that's on them. Because you got somebody like, man, I ain't got time to worry about that right now, no LLC or all that stuff, or learn Google Ads. Because right now you got free training everywhere. HP's got free training on business, data analytics, everything is free if somebody wants it. But I bet people I've sent stuff to, they don't want it, they don't care about it. And it's just at that point, well, you're just gonna get what comes to you, because there's just different things you can do until you get there, and not feeling ageism, and not letting ageism get to you. Because there was I don't know if you heard about on YouTube, but there was this big thing where people say, should rappers or entertainers give it up when they turn 40 or something like that, 35, 40. And I just disagree with that, because it takes a while for everybody to gain the confidence and figure out where they want to go with music, because there's different ways to go in music. Everybody's not trying to be a Beyonce or whoever. Some people just want to do music licensing. Some people just want to produce. Some people just want to sing behind the scenes and just put their music on Spotify quietly. I mean, it's just different ways. And I think once the artist figures out which direction they want to go, they can just pinpoint that instead of trying to do everything in the music game.
Well,
that's my thought.
Absolutely. I think I think it's great what you're saying. I would only add that, to add to it in a sense, in addition, is that if you're an artist, especially an independent, innovation should technically be your best friend, to be honest with you. So if that's the case, it's almost like there is no antiquity in a sense. There is no getting old. Do you get what I mean? There's no fossilization of your talents and your gifts or anything like that, because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a journey, isn't it? So when the journey expires and you're still alive, do you get what I mean? It's just like, what are we talking about?
What do we I don't get it. Like, the critical thinker in me is not flowing with it. It's just the critical thinker of me.
It just don't make any sense to me. So, when people say that, I just like, I vehemently disagree with that, because I think as an artist myself, or just like somebody that creates, it's almost like it's a lifetime commitment, and you have to I think that's one of the biggest things, just understanding what the definition of your lifespan and what that is supposed to be about. Do you get what I mean? And just like making sure that people understand what I'm in this for, what am I doing this for, and what that entails. I think a lot of people just go in there just to kind of almost clickbait and just be like, oh man, people like what I do, so that's a reason to do it. Until what if somebody, you're gonna have moments where people don't like what you do. What are you gonna do then? Are you gonna quit because, oh man, it's not working anymore? It's not working anymore. So it's just like, oh man, I guess I'll find something else. Okay, so what happened when you're 40? You're gonna start again? You get what I mean?
Because like, come on, like, everybody's not gonna like your music. It is so subjective. I don't like a lot of punk rock. To me, it sounds scary, but I know people that love it, and I respect it, and I respect the punk rocker. And there might be a few punk rock songs I may listen to, but there's some that sound scary to me. But they shouldn't give up because I don't like it, you know what I mean? Or a few other people don't like it. And I think the problem is, especially with Black artists, I feel like there's so much more criticism on us to be in a certain box than others. And I don't know if you noticed it, but like when I started out, it was like, oh, you just R&B, you got to sing like you're in church. And I'm just like, but that's not what I want to do. I might want to do some. That's not my style. And for the longest time, music became like my enemy in my early 20s, because It was kind of like I was trying to fit in with this box that wasn't me when I was already a multi-hyphenate type person. And I realized in all the things I do in my life, not just music, technology, everything, multi-hyphenate. So I said, you know what? I just forget the labels. I'm just going to be independent. I didn't want the fame. I learned that at 25. I didn't want the fame anyway. I said, I don't want everybody knowing where I'm at, what I'm doing. I didn't know I was an introvert until I was 25. I'm an extroverted introvert, but I'm more of an introvert.
You're
So
not
I'm like,
the
I don't want ambivert. That's the word. Yeah, I was like, I don't want everybody all my business anyway. I can go to Bali and do my music and I don't care if it's just 20 people that like it. But I can die on that hill and say, well, I did what I wanted to do. And I realized what I wanted. I'm happy I did in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Instead of because I could have got caught up with a label and been depressed. It could have happened to me. And I'm now looking back, I'm like, well, I'm happy it didn't. At that time, I did want to prove people wrong because, like you said, some artists do things for certain reason, vanity, right? I did want to prove some people wrong in my early 20s that said, oh, you're not gonna be a singer, it's just 2 people. I did, but then I said, you know what? That's not my reality. These people are not. I'm dying alone here. So why do I have to worry about what they think I should be when I realize I know what I want to be? So I pushed that back. It took me a long time to get out of that. And when I got out of that, man, the fruit is fruitful.
Balance.
Yes. Amen. Because then you get to that, you get to that point where it becomes fun. I mean, I don't care if you think about peanut butter and jelly. It's fun because it's you're not doing it to get that vanity, that And if it's just one person that liked it, that made me feel good. If that one person just says, hey, Siquoyia, I'm really jamming to this. Or maybe it's a stranger on Spotify playlist from France, and you look at it and say, somebody from France listens to my music, and I don't even know who it is. That's amazing.
You said it. It's funny because I was at this open mic the other day, and this lady, she's the host of it, and she's like, oh man, just to let you know, like, we're all these poets are most likely introverts, and poets, as you know, it's almost like all it takes is just one person just be like, oh man, hey, that was love, man, that was love. And she's like, oh man, that's all we need. And she's like, and I was just like, oh man, I agree with that so much, because just that one light, even if it's just one light, it's enough to kind of take you across the equator in a sense, on a little measly boat, just there, just like that.
Yes.
You're good. Yes. Right? It's just like I don't know, man. It's just something about it, and it's so almost energizing, and it just keeps you. It's like a little glow ray to just keep you going through until you get to that safe haven or that fresh island where you can get a fresh drink of water or something like that. It's just it's what it is. You get what I mean? So. I can relate to that for sure. I think we went off on a little tangent there.
Oh no, I do that sometimes. Sorry, yes. I get caught up when you talk about music and art. I'm like,
no. We're still we've got time. Let me jump into something. Let's start with this quote, and then move to the next segment. It says, if time stands still, what would the breath of a tree look like? To smite thy kite, thus no life or fright. The illusions of the past are ones that I cannot unmask. Elusive with a vision, for the universe likes to have me guessing. Bitter world when the darkness swells, the sweetest nectar are the ones unknown. For discovering mean the tree actually fell. Thus renders my existence a tragedy, untimely in the open. Icarus in the process of choking on his own greatness. The sweetest deaths rings loud, eardrums spread to universal pockets. A locomotive on standby when time finally comes back around. Just a little something I cooked up for you today.
Oh, that is the bomb. I mean, it just made me ponder. You have to email that to me too, because it just made me think about, it was different lessons in one saying. It was like different sayings in one. I'm like trying to get it all in my head. I'm like, if the tree is standing still, how can it breathe? Was that it? that to me was amazing because it made me think about this book I'm reading. I love reading books, and it's just like if you're standing still, how can you grow in that way and then get to the new fruits like you mentioned? The man, that was the bomb.
Yeah.
Snap,
It's a little
snap.
something I put that called Picture Perfect. And
I
that's
like
everything
that.
about perfect. So yeah, a little bit of an oxymoronic thing, but yeah,
Well, no, because no, it makes sense though because it's almost like it's basically telling you to make a choice between. It's telling you make a choice,
mm,
and whatever choice you make is what's gonna be, and that's what I got from it. But it was like positive to me. I got it positively because it makes you think
mm,
like, what are you gonna do?
yeah, yeah.
Snap, snap.
A little bit of a spanner in the work. That's my that's why I
No,
like.
but that was good because you could do. I mean, I could hear a poetry album from you. I remember, back when I was doing poetry at Irving Grind, Atlanta, Georgia. People would be like, well, "There's not enough poetry albums," and I said it's really not because a lot of people don't talk about poetry and how it could be this big thing where they can go on tour too. They can do things too because poetry is a big
Absolutely,
deal. It's like spoken word and it's motivational. It could be invigorating, so people could travel and stuff. So I think I could hear already have a nice voice. You have this Jamaican UK accent that I
thank
like,
you.
So I'm like, he's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jamaican UK vibe. So I was like, he could do. I mean, it would just do well,
I
man.
am
He just
Jamaican, truth be told. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I was like, I could hear it. It's nice, and that like a poetry album with your voice, and and some people like well, I changed subject, but some people want to just put it on. Sometimes you can just put it on your website instead of Spotify because you get more
Absolutely.
money,
Well, there you go. We still got business
especially
again.
for
You
yeah,
know. No, I totally agree. In fact, I have done. I am already doing the Spotify. I've done an audiobook, and I didn't do it myself. I had a professional because at that point I've never really done one myself, so I had somebody.
oh
But with this wasn't poetry though. This was a story. But if I was to do poetry as an audio, it have to be my voice. Like the poetry is so much more personal for me, so it's
yeah.
always hands on when it comes to the
Yeah,
poetry.
I'm gonna have to listen to that book that you got, the audiobook. I'm a, avid reader. I love reading books. I'm getting
Oh,
back into
really?
my reading steam, so I'll definitely check out your work.
Absolutely. All right. Well, keep me posted on that.
Yes,
But I definitely send you a piece of this quote I've
yes.
so you can I'll send the whole thing.
I might can
It was
excerpt that in one of my songs, give you credit. I mean, I can hear that at the beginning of one of my songs, because I'm always trying to work on some stuff. So I can. That's the type of quote or poetry that I would use actually.
yeah, yeah. And it's what it is with me. It's kind of like it depends, because like you said, it's a when you take what you do. So you was trying to surprise or create, different type of ways where you challenge yourself. And so I get up every day. It was almost like, okay, where am I going to take it today? Is it going to be profound? Is it going to be wordplay? Is it going to be like art? Poetry, but just
Mm,
art. And so
yeah.
when I got up this morning, well, actually it was a night. When I was got ready to write on this particular night, I was thinking, oh man, I want to go art today.
Mm. I like that. No, it's real though because it's like a mood. Like I'm working on a song called Whiskey, and I'm learning how to mix and master myself because I'm learning that everybody don't get my song the way I do. Like you're not gonna be able to mix and master the way I do because you just don't get it. You're a producer, like you produce your poetry. So I said, so Whiskey, gave me this rock vibe. I said, you know what? I want a rock soul type song. So it's just kind of Rocky and Tina
Yeah,
Turner. Like
yeah.
I said, oh
And
shoot,
that's like a
this
theme, like
yeah. And I got it from a movie actually. I got inspired from a movie. Like that's the thing. People say don't watch TV, is waste time. No, not for artists. Artists,
wow.
you watch a movie, you'll get a whole book. You'll get so many ideas done. It's not that you're copying a movie, you just got something sparked you. And then you might paint something. You might say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna write me a poem about this. But movies shows help artists, especially when you're going through a writer's block or going through something personal.
Mm.
Movies and shows help you.
It could be for me, I try to, as Bruce Lee says, flow like water. And so, I,
Yeah.
for me, it's almost like right from your experience. So I get up every day and I'm just like, okay, let me just internalize whatever my day was like. Sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's crude, sometimes it's dark. It doesn't matter. I
Yep.
can always, as you know, it's almost like it's. I know it's almost like speaking another language, because it's almost like you're translating almost like emotional, like a frequency. You're tapping into a frequency almost. Do you get what I mean? And it's almost like, oh
Yeah.
man,
Like
I'm
Kendrick Lamar
translating
said that in his album.
it.
You
There
know,
you
what
go. There
what
you
he
go.
showed, what Tupac said it basically. He says
Mm,
like the ancestors were speaking to me and working through me and taking me to a different frequency. I
there you
said,
go. The third
bro,
eye, because when you ask people, I think even I can't remember his name. The Dread, old school rapper.
oh, I know you, KRS-One.
KRS-One,
That's
because
my
he
man.
even speaks about yeah, he even speaks about like he would describe it where you don't know what you're sometimes you don't know, artists don't know what they're writing, they just know it comes, they can just, it's coming from somewhere.
Hmm.
And like I always think about that, and I always translate, in my opinion, it's almost like, there's also this saying where it's almost like, you're trying to find the God within.
Hmm.
And so I
Yeah,
think it's almost like maybe it's your subconscious speaking to you or speaking for you.
I think so. And the higher power, like I mean, some Christian people might not like this, but like a higher power is, the ancestors. It's like your higher God, because it says in the Bible, God made us in His own image. So, you're
Yeah,
you're vibrating and tapping into that frequency, and sometimes it just happens, and then you finish something, and you're like, dang, I didn't know I could do that,
yeah,
or
yeah.
that's not something I've been through. I didn't go through that, but maybe you were supposed to help someone else, like you're like a vessel, so to speak. And I think
Absolutely.
that's a true artist there. It's like you can't even hide from that, and that's what makes artists do it forever, because you're a true artist. You can't hide from that, because that once that frequency is in you, once that push is in you, that force, you have to do it. Some people want to call it like demonic, whatever, but it's not demonic. It
Nah.
it's you
It's almost
you do.
universal when you think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like, it's going back to frequency. It's almost like,
Hmm.
there's so many different facets to the universe, and it's almost like what frequency resonates with you. Some people are just like, they're into dark, and so everything that attracts to them is darkness.
There we
You know what I
go.
mean?
It
They even
came,
wear black all the time. It's like, geez, man,
man.
it's summer, you
Like
still
what?
wear like that? You
Yeah,
got
like
me.
what is
You don't
going
know.
on?
And it's
Like
just like,
even
sorry, go
it's
on.
deep. No, you're right. You're true, man. It's funny you bring this up, because I call myself a curious person. I call myself a curious mofo, because I'm looking at artists now. Some artists, I'm like, man, like Doja Cat, or I'm like, man, she's really being,
Mm,
she's going into this other portal, and people are saying she's demonic. It's not. I don't see that. I see she's just tapping into something,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's everybody's different, but I don't see it. It's not from her. I can't speak for every artist, but I didn't see that from her. But it's just, man, that frequency, bro, it's real. I'm happy bringing this up, because a lot more people need to become self-aware and learn how to tap into that higher power, that inner God, you know?
and not only learn how to tap into it, but also learn how to switch it off.
Oh, man.
But that thing works both ways, man.
Man,
You know?
you can call it ADHD, whatever, but once it's in, and
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
can't stop it. And sometimes I say, okay, let me take a glass of red wine. I have to turn this off, because there's there's times where I can't just sit here, and I just have to turn. I can't have it on all the time, because I go crazy, and I can't do everything all at once. Especially now, if I was a billionaire or something like that, and I could record all day, I might. But that's the thing, you can't do that right now. I can't do it. Let me
Absolutely,
sit here going on
absolutely.
tangent again. Yeah.
Oh my God, I think they have fireworks going on. It is
Oh, is
October,
it?
isn't it? Yeah,
Oh, Columbus Day, right? It's Monday. Yeah.
one of those. One of those.
There they go. They probably gonna do it tonight over here.
Crazy. Hopefully they stop.
Yeah, it gets annoying. I mean, especially when you're trying to chill out and stuff. It's like, come on, guys, and especially when you got animals like me, my dogs. They do not like it.
Oh my, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, man, it's a real thing. Do you think there is such a thing where it's almost like just continuing what we're speaking about? There's certain doors that certain artists open where it's almost like they have access to so much, but it's almost like it's a double-headed sword in a sense, because yes, it's great when you want it, but what happens when you don't want it, or when you're trying to switch it off and you can't close that door? Do you think there's certain artists that suffer from that, and so that leads to them trying to almost medicate substance abuse, situations like that?
I do think so, because it's like they can't get that chatter off, and there might be some trauma in there from past childhood trauma they didn't get over, and then it could be stuff going on in industry. But yeah, I do think that they just can't turn it off, and it turns into depression. It turns into it's cocaine. You get hooked up on something you shouldn't get hooked up on, and then you're not enjoying what you work so hard to get. And it's like that's why you hear some artists say, I was happier, when I was just working a job now, but it's just, it goes back into that self-awareness and being able to tap in and turn it off. And that might take, it's going to be, you can't pinpoint how to turn it off for everybody though, because I can say meditation, sit down and meditate, but that might not work for the next person. But I think that, yeah, that there is some doors that they walk into and they just can't get out. And there's so much shit, like more than just probably them, with their creative juices, but they also, a lot of times, they don't have any control to probably do what they want to do. Because what if something's knocking on them, this frequency knocking on them to do this, but the label's like, nope, you can't do it. They're watching you and stuff. I mean, I've heard stories, and some of the artists are even speaking out more about it. And I just think that's going to drive somebody crazy. And I do think an artist like Doja Cat right now is trying to get out. I can feel her energy. I can tell she's trying to get out whatever the heck she's in, the label. She's trying to get out, and it's hard, because once you join with that arena, the certain type of people, you can't get out, and then you also can't express yourself the way you want. Now, Doja does have more of a free reign, but there's artists that don't have that, and they're they can't even do what they want to do, and they feel stuck, and they're dealing with trauma in their personal life. It's just crazy. I just feel for those artists, because that's not where anybody want to be.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. We don't have much time left, but I want to ask you one more, if not two questions.
That's fine.
Do you have a particular method to your creativity when you want to go about creating something, or is it more natural? It just happens. How do you go about it?
It just happens. It's a weird thing for me, because I always tell people, I'm a true artist. I just can't force it. It's like I might be, like the song Champion I have is a very sexy track. I was reading this book by Paulo Coelho called 11 Minutes, and the song just came to me like as soon as I finished the book. And then I went and recorded it and then got it out there, and it was just this pull. But and then there's times where, like I said, movies and shows and books inspire me, but like I said, I can't just go and do something. I have to feel the urge to do it. I got to feel the moment, the right time. And that's how I go about it. Like, some people can just go sit in the studio all day and just keep going at it and come up with stuff. I just can't do that. Now, would I do it? Yeah, I would do it, but I prefer to just go in, and when I feel it, when I got an idea from something, I'm inspired. Like whiskey, for instance, I'm working on that. I got inspired, and I'm working on that. I'm trying to finish mixing that up.